The signal came on a Tuesday. Dr. Alan Carter stared at his computer screen, not trusting his eyes. After 15 years at NASA's Deep Space Listening Post, he had finally found something. "Susan, you need to see this," he called to his colleague without taking his eyes off the screen. Dr. Susan Wright hurried over, coffee sloshing from her mug. "What is it?" "It's structured. Repeating patterns. Coming from Kepler 442. Alan pointed to the waveforms dancing across his monitor. "This isn't natural." Susan's eyes widened. "You think it's—" "Yes," Alan said. "I think someone is trying to talk to us." Within hours, the facility buzzed with activity. Within days, the world knew. Humanity was not alone in the universe. The message, once decoded, was simple. "We see you. We come in peace." 6 months later, the first Jularian ship entered Earth orbit. It was beautiful, sleek and silver, like liquid metal frozen in space. News channels worldwide broadcast the historical moment when Ambassador Xol 4, tall and blue-skinned with 4 arms, stepped onto Earth soil at the United Nations headquarters in New York. "We bring greetings from the Galactic Empire," the translator device around his neck stated in perfect English. "We have watched your progress with great interest." President Laura Daniels shook his upper right hand, her own looking tiny in comparison. "Earth welcomes you with open arms and hopes for friendship." Behind the smiles and handshakes, things moved quickly. The Jularians shared basic technological advancements, improved solar energy collection, more efficient crop growth, and medical treatments for several diseases. Earth governments scrambled to adapt, implement, and understand these gifts. But not everyone trusted the aliens. Lieutenant Samantha Mills sat in the dark monitoring room of Naval Intelligence, reviewing strange readings from the edge of Earth's atmosphere. "Sir, I'm picking up unusual energy signatures again," she reported to her commanding officer. "They don't match the official Jularian shuttle paths." Commander Joe Peters frowned at the screen. "How many?" "At least 3 different signatures. They're using some kind of cloaking technology, but our new adaptive sensors can detect their engine traces." "They're watching us," Peters said quietly. "More than they admit. Across the galaxy, in the gleaming crystal palace of the Imperial Core world, Grand Advisor Zex Ret presented his findings to the Emperor. "The humans are primitive, your magnificence, but troubling." Zex Ret's voice echoed in the vast chamber. "They have progressed from primitive flight to space travel in less than a century. Their wars have driven innovation at alarming rates." The Emperor, a massive 12-foot figure with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs, leaned forward on his throne. "Are they a threat?" "Not yet," Zex Ret replied. "But their adaptation rate is unprecedented. They have already begun improving upon the basic technologies we provided, given time." "We rarely give potential problems time," the Emperor rumbled. "Continue observation. Assess their defenses." Back on Earth, Dr. Alan Carter worked late in his lab, studying the star charts the Jularians had shared. Something didn't add up. The territories the Jularians claimed to control included systems that shouldn't have habitable planets according to Earth science. "Either they're lying about what they control," he muttered to himself, "or they're not telling us everything about what makes a planet habitable for them." He didn't notice the tiny drone hovering outside his window, recording every word. As weeks turned to months, and months to a year, relations with the Jularians remained cordial on the surface. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchanges began. A small group of human scientists was even invited to visit the nearest Jularian outpost on the edge of our solar system. But in secret briefing rooms around the world, military leaders looked at the rapidly growing file labeled Galactic Empire, Potential Threat Assessment. And behind Lieutenant Mills' monitoring station, a new wall was being built. On it, a map tracked suspected cloaked Jularian vessels. The pins marking their locations were spreading across Earth like a silent invasion. The first contact had been made, but the true intentions of the Galactic Empire remained hidden. for now. 5 years passed since the Zularians first arrived on Earth. The blue morning sky above New York City shimmered as the Imperial ship descended. Larger than the first contact vessel, this new craft cast a shadow over the United Nations Plaza. Ambassador Xol 4 had returned, this time for what he called a formal assessment of Earth's readiness to join galactic society. UN Secretary General Paul Johnson waited at the landing pad, flanked by security and diplomats from every major nation. The giant doors of the ship opened with a soft hiss. "Welcome back to Earth, Ambassador," Johnson said with a practiced smile. Xol 4 bowed slightly, all four arms moving in complex patterns. "The Emperor sends his regards." His translator device seemed smoother now, almost natural. "I am pleased to see how much you have progressed." Behind the ambassador stood his aide, Vreen, whose 6 eyes constantly scanned the surroundings. Vreen had never visited Earth before and seemed uncomfortable with the planet's gravity. Later that day, in a private meeting room, Xol 4 watched a demonstration of Earth's new unified defense system. Major William Taylor stood tall as he explained, "Using the energy collection principles you shared, we've developed these shield generators that can protect our major cities." The display showed a missile test being stopped by a shimmering barrier of energy. Xol 4's outer eyes narrowed slightly. "Impressive adaptation," he said. "You've taken our basic principles and found new applications." Major Taylor nodded, missing the concern in the alien's voice. "We're quick learners." That evening, in their secured quarters, Vreen spoke quietly to Xol 4. "They've advanced the technology far beyond what we expected. The defense integration should have taken decades, not years." "Yes," Xol 4 agreed. "And did you see their production facilities? They've already mass-produced the medical scanners we provided designs for. They're manufacturing improvements we didn't share." Vreen set a small device on the table. It projected images of Earth's military bases, factories, and research centers. "Their war readiness is concerning. Their history is filled with conflict." While the aliens discussed humanity's progress, Vreen's assistant was exploring the city. In a small bookshop, the alien found shelves of history books. With a small scanning device, it began absorbing the content. Wars. Endless human wars. The world wars. The Cold War. Regional conflicts. But something else caught the aliens' attention. Humanity's resilience. Their ability to rebuild, to adapt, to survive against all odds. The alien closed the book on World War II, with 4 of its fingers trembling slightly. The next morning, Xol 4 met with President Laura Daniels at the White House. "Your people have made remarkable progress," the ambassador said. "But we are concerned about your military applications of our shared technology." President Daniels leaned forward. "We live in an uncertain universe, Ambassador. You've told us there are many species in the galaxy. Not all may be as friendly as the Zularians." "Of course," Xol 4 said smoothly. "But the Empire ensures peace through proper hierarchy and supervision." When the diplomatic meetings concluded 3 weeks later, Xol 4's ship departed Earth orbit. As soon as they entered deep space, he opened a secure channel to the Imperial Council. "My assessment is complete," he reported to the 12 shadowy figures on the screen. "Humans are advancing at an unprecedented rate. They've taken our basic technology offerings and rapidly weaponized and improved them." "Your recommendation?" asked the central figure. "Containment rather than partnership," Xol 4 replied. "Their history is remarkably violent. They fight constantly among themselves, yet always emerge stronger. Given access to our full technology, they could become a serious threat within a generation." After the transmission ended, Grand Admiral Xurval turned to the Emperor. "Your Magnificence, I've reviewed the data from Earth. These humans represent a future threat we cannot ignore. Their adaptability makes them uniquely dangerous." The Emperor's translucent skin pulsed with thought. "Explain." "Most species we encounter develop slowly, predictably. Humans jump forward in technological leaps. They think differently. If we allow them to advance further, controlling them will become impossible. What do you suggest? The Emperor asked. Serval's voice was cold. Eliminate the threat now, while we still can. The message arrived at dawn. Every screen on Earth lit up with the same image. Ambassador Xolthor standing before the Imperial flag. His usually friendly face now looked stern and cold. People of Earth, he began, the Galactic Imperial Council has completed its assessment of your civilization. President Laura Daniels watched from the Oval Office, surrounded by her top advisors. They all felt the weight of what was coming. Humanity has been deemed too unstable and warlike for full galactic membership. Xolthor continued, your rapid weapons development concerns us. Your history of conflict troubles us. The ambassador's forearms moved in formal patterns as he delivered the Empire's demands. Earth must give up its military forces, accept imperial governors in each nation, and provide resources as directed by the Empire. You have 48 Earth hours to submit your acceptance, he finished. This is not a negotiation. The screen went dark. In the silence that followed, President Daniels stood up. Get me the UN Security Council. Now. 20 hours later, President Daniels addressed the world from the United Nations. People of Earth, today we face the greatest challenge in human history, she said, her voice steady despite her fear. The Galactic Empire has demanded our surrender and subjugation. The cameras showed faces from around the world watching her speech, in homes, in town squares, in bars and restaurants. Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty, she declared. We did not fight our way out of caves, survive ice ages, plagues, and our own wars to bow before alien tyrants. We extend our hand in peace, but we will not offer our wrists for chains. The response came sooner than expected. 3 Imperial warships appeared in orbit around Mars. The colony there had been humanity's first off-world settlement, home to 200 scientists, engineers, and their families. Director Frank Collins of the Mars colony saw the ships approach on his monitors. He hit the emergency broadcast button. This is Mars colony to Earth control. Imperial warships approaching. We are initiating emergency protocols and transmitting all defense data. The colony's sensors recorded everything as the Imperial ships fired. The data streamed back to Earth even as the colony's structures crumbled under the attack. Engineer Jack Thompson watched the feed with horror in Earth control. They're killing everyone, he whispered. His colleague, Dr. Olivia White, grabbed his arm. No time for grief. The Mars colony is giving us invaluable data on their weapons. We need to analyze it now. Within hours, the deaths of 200 Mars colonists united Earth like nothing before. Ancient enemies put aside their differences. The United Nations voted unanimously to form the Earth Defense Alliance. Military bases worldwide went to highest alert. Civilians volunteered by the millions. Factories converted to war production. Scientists worked around the clock to understand and counter imperial technology. In her lab at MIT, Dr. Olivia White examined the readings from Mars. Their energy weapons operate on principles we can understand, she told the Emergency Science Council. Different, but not magical. We can defend against them. Jack Thompson stood at a whiteboard covered in designs. If we modify our shield generators to oscillate at these frequencies, we might be able to deflect some of their firepower. Admiral Christopher Ross, newly appointed commander of Earth's combined space forces, looked over their shoulders. How long? 2 weeks for a prototype, Jack answered. Maybe a month for full production. The Empire will be here in 10 days, Admiral Ross said grimly. Across the solar system, the Imperial fleet assembled. 50 warships, each capable of destroying the city, formed up near Jupiter. Grand Admiral Serval addressed his commanders from the flagship. The humans have refused our generous terms, he said, as expected of primitives. Their defiance will serve as an example to other potential rebels. On the main view screen, Earth glowed blue and peaceful. Begin the invasion, Hexerval ordered. I want this finished quickly. He did not notice one of his junior officers looking troubled by the command. The first attack came at dawn. Imperial warships broke through Earth's upper atmosphere, their hulls glowing red-hot. Massive cannons turned toward the orbital defense platforms humanity had rushed to build. Admiral Christopher Ross stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiance, Earth's largest and newest spaceship. It was a poor match for even the smallest Imperial vessel, but it was all they had. "All stations report ready, sir," said his second-in-command. Ross nodded. "Begin Operation Hornet's Nest." Across Earth's orbit, 300 small fighter craft launched from hidden bays. They were never meant for space combat, but engineers had worked day and night to adapt them. Colonel Maria Garcia's voice came through the comm system. "Swarm units in position, Admiral. Ready on your mark." "The enemy expects us to defend our orbital platforms," Ross said. "Let's surprise them instead." The Imperial flagship approached Earth's main defense station. Its weapons powered up, ready to destroy the human creation with a single shot. "Enemy weapons charging," reported the sensor officer on the Defiance. Ross took a deep breath. "Now, Colonel Garcia." The swarm of Earth fighters broke cover from behind Earth's moon. They ignored the defense platforms completely and headed straight for the Imperial ships from behind. On the Imperial flagship, Commander Zex Troll received urgent alerts. "Primitives approaching from Sector 7, his officer reported. "Ignore them," Zex Troll ordered. "Their weapons cannot harm our shields. Focus on the defense platforms." But Colonel Garcia's fighters weren't aiming for the ship shields. They targeted the engines, the sensor arrays, the external weapon mounts, all the parts that extended beyond the main shield bubble. Pilot Lisa Bennett led her squadron toward an Imperial cruiser's engine section. "Remember the Mars colony," she said to her pilots. "Hit them where it hurts." Her fighter launched its payload, not explosives, but a specially designed electromagnetic pulse weapon based on the data from Mars. It couldn't penetrate the main shields, but it caused the shield harmonics to fluctuate. "I'm detecting a vulnerability," Lisa shouted into her comm. "Their shields cycle every 3.2 seconds. There's a millisecond gap we can exploit." Admiral Ross immediately relayed the information to all Earth forces. "Coordinate your attacks. Time your strikes to the shield cycle." The small human vessels should have been easy prey for the mighty Imperial warships, but they moved unpredictably, attacking in patterns the Empire had never seen before. When the Imperial ships fired their main weapons at Earth's platforms, the human fighters struck their temporarily weakened rear shields. Commander Zextrol stared in disbelief as alerts sounded across his bridge. "Impossible. They're damaging our secondary systems." 2 Imperial ships lost engine control. Another had its communications array destroyed. The smaller human vessels darted between the massive alien warships, causing confusion. "They're using our size against us," Zextrol realized. "Our weapons are designed to destroy large targets, not these small craft." On Earth, millions watched the battle on their screens. In command centers, military leaders studied Imperial tactics. In laboratories, scientists analyzed weapon signatures and shield frequencies. The Defiance moved into position behind the Imperial line. "Main weapon charge," reported the weapons officer. Ross nodded. "Fire." The Defiance's hastily constructed energy cannon fired a beam calibrated to the exact frequency Lisa Bennett had discovered. It punched through the Imperial ship's weakened shields and damaged its power core. For the first time in the battle, an Imperial warship was seriously wounded. The Empire had expected a quick victory against primitive defenses. Instead, they faced an enemy that adapted with shocking speed. After 6 hours of battle, the Imperial commander gave an order that had never been issued in an engagement with a pre-FTL civilization. "Retreat. Regroup. Reassess." As the Imperial ships pulled back to lunar orbit, the human defenders cheered. But Admiral Ross didn't join them. "This was just the first wave," he said quietly, "and we lost 40% of our forces stopping them." Commander Zextrol sent his report to Grand Admiral Xerval. The primitives fought unexpectedly well. We require more ships to complete this operation. Xerval's reply was immediate. The Emperor is displeased. Return to the staging area. We will bring the full might of the Empire to bear on these humans. 6 months into the war, Earth was burning. The Empire had returned with hundreds of warships. Major cities lay in ruins. Earth's conventional defenses were crumbling under the relentless assault. Commander Steve Rogers looked out over the remains of Chicago from his hidden bunker. His Special Forces team huddled around a makeshift table, planning their next move. "We can't win by fighting fair," Steve told them. "They have better ships, better guns, better everything. But they don't understand humans." Karen Martinez, his second-in-command, nodded. "The Empire expects surrender. They've never faced an enemy that keeps fighting after their military is defeated." The resistance had gone global. Imperial forces controlled the skies and the major cities, but everywhere else, humans fought back with growing skill. In a basement lab at the ruins of MIT, Dr. Daniel Green worked by the light of a single lamp. Computer screens surrounded him, each running code that probed the captured Imperial communication device. "I think I found something," he told his small team. "Their computer systems have defenses against conventional attacks, but they've never encountered human viruses before." Over the next week, Daniel's team created a virus designed to infiltrate Imperial networks. They called it Trojan Horse. The virus spread through captured Imperial tablets left where enemy patrols would find them. When the devices reconnected to Imperial networks, the virus jumped across, gathering intelligence and sending it back to human resistance cells. In London, another breakthrough came when Karen Martinez's team ambushed an Imperial scout ship that had landed for repairs. The aliens fought hard, but were unprepared for the savage determination of humans fighting for their very existence. "Get the ship back to base," Karen ordered as her team secured the area. "Our engineers need to study it before they send reinforcements." The captured scout ship provided humans with invaluable technology. Engineers worked day and night to understand its propulsion and weapon systems. Each discovery was shared via secure channels with resistance cells worldwide. Meanwhile, deep in Imperial territory, the War Council was growing frustrated. "How can they still be fighting?" demanded Grand Admiral Xerval, smashing his fist on the table. "We've destroyed their major military bases. We control their orbit. They should have surrendered months ago." The Imperial psychologist looked nervous. "Sir, we may have misunderstood human psychology. In our studies of conquered species, surrender follows a predictable pattern once a certain threshold of defeat is reached. Humans don't seem to have this threshold." "Explain," Xerval growled. "Their history shows they will fight against impossible odds. In their past wars, some nations continued resistance even after 90% of their territory was occupied." Xerval turned to his logistics officer. "How are our supply lines?" "Constantly under attack, sir. The humans strike without warning, then disappear. We spend more resources protecting our supply ships than we do on the actual conquest." What the Empire didn't know was that their communications were now compromised. Every battle plan, every troop movement was being intercepted by Daniel Green's virus and relayed to resistance fighters. Steve Rogers studied the latest intelligence from the Imperial War Council. "They're getting desperate. They're planning to move their planet-killer weapons into position." Karen's face paled. "We've seen what those can do. They destroyed Mars with one shot. We have 2 weeks before they arrive," Steve said. "We need to strike now, while we have the chance." On the far side of the moon, hidden from Imperial sensors, Earth had been building a secret weapon of its own. Engineers Eric Nelson and Michelle Lee had taken the captured scout ship technology and created something new. "It's ready," Eric told Admiral Ross via secure channel. "But we only have one shot at this." The Admiral nodded grimly. "Then make it count." In his palace, the Emperor received the latest reports from Earth. His patience was wearing thin. These humans are becoming more than a nuisance, he told his advisors. They are becoming a symbol. There are whispers of resistance on other worlds now. He rose from his throne, his translucent body pulsing with anger. Enough games. Deploy the planet killers. I want this problem ended. The massive Imperial planet killer moved slowly into position near Earth's moon. It looked like a giant metal spider with a glowing red core. This single weapon had enough power to crack a planet in half. On Earth, Admiral Christopher Ross received the news with a grim face. How long do we have? 24 hours before it's in firing position, reported his aide. In the underground lab, quantum engineers Eric Nelson and Michelle Lee worked frantically on their latest discovery. We found a way to disrupt their faster-than-light systems, Michelle explained to the gathered military leaders. The scout ship we captured uses a quantum field to bend space. If we can create a counterfield, we might be able to prevent their ships from jumping away. Eric pointed to a complex device on the workbench. This prototype can disable FTL travel within a limited area. But we have only enough materials for one full-sized unit. Admiral Ross studied the device. Can you get it aboard the planet killer? That's suicide, said one of the generals. I'll do it, said Commander Ryan Kelly, stepping forward. A veteran pilot, Ryan had lost his family when the Empire destroyed Boston. I can fly the stealth shuttle close enough, he continued. If I can get aboard, I can plant the device near their engine core. Michelle looked at him with concern. Once you activate it, you'll have maybe 2 minutes before it affects all quantum technologies in the area, including your shuttle systems. Ryan nodded. I understand. While Ryan prepared for his mission, another breakthrough came from an unexpected source. The Imperial communications that Dr. Green's virus had infiltrated revealed growing unrest within the Empire itself. The Emperor's obsession with Earth is causing problems, Daniel explained, showing the intercepted messages. Several of their subject species are questioning why so many resources are being used to fight one primitive planet. The most interesting message came from a species called the Arcosians. They had been conquered by the Empire centuries ago, but maintained advanced technology. The message suggested they were willing to secretly provide aid to humans. Using the communication codes from the virus, Earth made contact with the Arcosians and other sympathetic alien civilizations. Advanced weapon designs and shield technology began flowing to Earth through hidden channels. As dawn broke over the Atlantic, Operation Thunderstrike began. While Ryan Kelly's mission to the planet killer drew the Empire's attention, hundreds of small, hidden Earth vessels launched a coordinated attack on Imperial command ships. On his stealth shuttle, Ryan approached the massive planet killer. Using the Empire's own recognition codes, stolen by the virus, he gained clearance to dock in a maintenance bay. I'm aboard, he whispered into his communicator. Moving to the engine section, Imperial crews rarely questioned maintenance workers. Ryan, wearing stolen Imperial work clothes, moved through the giant ship until he reached the massive engine room. The quantum field generator towered above him, a swirling mass of energy and machinery. He placed the disruption device against the main power conduit and activated it. A small screen showed a countdown. 2 minutes. Ryan made no attempt to escape. Instead, he sent one final message. Device planted. Thunderstrike is go. Across the solar system, Earth's forces struck at Imperial command ships simultaneously. The attack seemed random and desperate to Imperial commanders, who didn't realize they were being drawn into specific positions. On his flagship, the Emperor received news of the attacks with rage. These humans dare too much. Bring the reserve fleet into the battle. End this now. The Emperor's declaration was exactly what Earth had hoped for. Nearly 80% of Imperial forces were now committed to the Earth campaign. On the planet killer, Ryan Kelly's device reached zero. The entire ship shuddered as its quantum field collapsed. Throughout the solar system, Imperial ships found their FTL drives suddenly disabled. And across the galaxy, something unexpected happened. As news spread of humans continuing to fight against impossible odds, rebellions broke out on a dozen imperial worlds. In his palace, the emperor received the shocking news. "Your Magnificence, we've lost contact with the planet killer, and there are reports of uprisings on Arcos, Belter, and Mendus." For the first time in centuries, the emperor felt something unfamiliar. Fear. 3 years after the Empire's first attack on Earth, the tide of war had changed completely. Humans had taken imperial technology and combined it with their own innovations to create hybrid weapons and ships more powerful than either alone. Admiral Nancy Howard stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Freedom, looking at the holographic map of the galaxy. Red dots showed imperial strongholds, while blue dots represented Earth allies, former subjects of the Empire who had joined the human resistance. "The Emperor has gathered his remaining forces at their homeworld," Nancy said to her officers. "This is our chance to end this war." The Freedom led a fleet of 500 ships toward the heart of the Empire. Most were human-built, but many were crewed by aliens who had joined Earth's cause. Dr. Peter Johnson approached the Admiral, holding a small device. "The dimensional disruptor is ready," he said, "but we only have enough power for one use." The device was humanity's most powerful weapon, an experimental technology that could trap objects in subspace, neither fully in our universe nor completely outside it. "We'll make it count," Nancy promised. Their plan was bold but dangerous. A small force would attack the Imperial homeworld directly, not to win, but to bait the Emperor into a trap. As the Earth fleet approached Imperial space, Admiral Howard broadcast a message across all frequencies. "This is Admiral Nancy Howard of Earth. We'd bring the war to your doorstep. Your Emperor claimed humans were primitive. Now see what primitives can do." The message included coordinates for Earth's secret weapon, a location far from the actual fleet where the Empire would find only a small decoy force. On the Imperial throne world, the Emperor raged at the humans' audacity. "How dare they threaten us here? Send the Imperial Reserve Fleet to these coordinates. Destroy their weapon before it can be used." The Emperor's advisors looked nervous. "Your Magnificence, perhaps we should verify." "Now," the Emperor shouted, "I want this human threat ended today." A third of the Empire's remaining ships, over 200 massive warships, jumped to the coordinates Nancy had provided. They arrived to find only a small station and a few Earth vessels. "This can't be their weapon," said the Imperial commander. "It's a trap." But it was too late. Dr. Peter Johnson's dimensional disruptor activated, creating a massive subspace field. The Imperial ships were caught like flies in amber, trapped between dimensions. News of the Imperial fleet's fate spread quickly through the galaxy. The Emperor had committed his last major forces to a trap, leaving the homeworld vulnerable. Rebellions that had been smoldering on dozens of worlds now exploded into full revolution. The Galactic Council, made up of representatives from all subject species, called an emergency session. "The Emperor has failed us," declared the Arcosian delegate. "His obsession with Earth has cost us half our forces and inspired revolution everywhere." The vote was nearly unanimous. The Emperor would be removed, and peace negotiations would begin with the humans. When the Earth delegation arrived at the council chambers, diplomat George Barnes led them. Once a history professor, George understood how empires rose and fell throughout human history. "We do not seek to destroy the Empire," George told the council. "We seek to transform it. No species should rule over others. All should have equal voice." The peace treaty took months to negotiate. The Empire would become a federation, with each species having equal representation. Earth would share its hybrid technologies, and in return would receive protection and access to the stars. In the final meeting, the former Emperor, now stripped of power, approached George Barnes. "How did you do it?" he asked, his translucent skin dull with defeat. "You had no fleet, no empire, no advanced technology." George smiled slightly. "You made a fatal error. You assumed technological superiority meant victory. But throughout human history, we've learned that determination, innovation, and unity often overcome raw power. 5 years after the war ended, historians throughout the galaxy began studying what became known as the Imperial Miscalculation. The decision to attack Earth was now taught as the greatest strategic error in galactic history, and on 1,000 worlds, children of all species learned the lesson. Never underestimate humans.